Three, two, one. All right. Let's do a sick hot sharpening video. Step the first. Spray everything with Windex. Get it good and soapy. Because you probably left that stone real dirty. Step two. Wipe your babies down. No one wants a dirty baby. However, it's nice to have your babies dirty every once in a while. We're going to clean our babies just to get them dirty. All right. These are diamond sharpening stones. Extra coarse. Coarse? Fine? Extra fine? Question mark? Spent too much money on these. I should probably know. This edge is pretty fucked up. I used this chisel to open paint cans a couple times. But, such is life. So I'm going to start off coarse. Try to feel the edge. Give it a good back and forth. They say do a figure 8 sideways, but I'm not good enough for that. So I just do back and forth like a scrub. And this is just me ensuring that I know where I can sort of feel the bevel, sort of see it there in the water, where it changes. And so I'm just grinding that a little bit, working my way down. And then I'm going to get my baby clean again. And this it's taking it off. I don't know if you're catching that. It's taking it off on the edges, which is weird. The corners. Maybe I was pressing on the corners the hardest. So I'm just going to keep at that for a little bit. And see what happens. Maybe press a little bit more in the middle. This thing is a piece of shit chisel. I think all my chisels are fairly crappy. Because they don't want to spend enough money on a good chisel. And I don't know what the bang for your buck ratio is on chisels. But I had this one relatively sharp. And then I used it to open paint cans. And that did negative things. So my hope is that I can... is that the corners? Where am I taking it off in the center? I think I'm taking it off in the center. Yeah, that's taking it off in the center. So that's okay. I'll work at that a little bit longer before I get bored. And I'm doing my best not to cut my fingers open here, which I do on frequent occasion sharpening. Doesn't feel like it's cutting super great. I feel like that could maybe be because I'm using a paper towel. That sort of gums it up. And every once in a while I slip. But this is primary bevel bullshit. So, yeah. Not actually that important. Because I guess I'll just go down. So now I'll do a little bit different. A little bit fine, I believe, here. Should get a little bit shinier. Yeah, sure as shit, getting a little bit shinier. And I've stopped caring. So, extra fine. You see, it's hardly making any. Over here on this stone, there's got all this like black stuff. That's just iron. But I worked on that stone for a while. This one, very smooth. Hardly doing anything. So now that I've gotten bored of this, and it looks about like that, and it's weird because it's taking it off in the center, but sort of ignoring the wings over here, which I don't know what that means. I guess that the corners are low, where I'm pressing too hard in the center. Either way, like I said, this is a cheap, shitty chisel, and I'm not going to concern myself about that too much. So, next, I'm going to go, like the pros do, to the secondary bevel. So right here, you can feel it locking into place on the bevel. I'm going to tilt it up just a little bit. You can hear it cutting a lot more. and hopefully we'll be able to see it. And this is fairly aggressive, so I'm only going to give it a couple. But yeah, sure as shit. You can see that nice, like, silver line. And pretty uneven. Actually, a lot more pressure on this end than that end. So maybe I'll give it a little bit more on the left side there. And hope I don't fuck it irreversibly. Yeah. Now move on. Feel the primary bevel up a little bit. Go to town. You can see little black flecks at the end there. Right there. Hopefully. And this is hopefully taking nicks out that I had made. Hopefully. You can see the black on the blade. That's iron. Iron is black when you file it all off. Then we're going to go ultra fine. And that feels like I have a burr, but maybe like I still have a nicked edge. So what I'm going to do is do the silly ruler trick and flatten the back of it a little bit. Apparently you're not supposed to do this with a chisel. Yeah, I won't do it with a chisel. I'll just do this and hope that I'm flattening the leading edge here. I think you're not supposed to do this with a chisel or do the ruler trick because you're relying on a flat back to make like accurate cuts. However, I think a chisel is going to wander. No chisel is going to go perfectly. And I'm not an expert woodworker though. So like maybe dudes, when they flatten the back, they can feel the difference, or when they tilt the ass of it up and do the ruler trick or whatever, maybe they can feel the difference. I cannot. A chisel in my hands generally doesn't work the way I want it to. Just because I think I'm not super practiced with them. But, yeah. Other people think they're smarter than me. And they probably are. So we'll give this a shot. And check out the back. And you can see I've already done this before. Because you can see the hollow. Where the chisel, the iron or whatever, the metal of the chisel hasn't been shaved down on the back there. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of neat. Kind of see your progress. See that you've really done something. I can feel the burr still. I think I did a good job there. So now I'm going to go... Oh no. Oh no. Where's my silly green board? I've got a silly green board. That's got leather on it. Oh, there it is. I don't think this is the right one, though. I've got two. So, this isn't my preferred one. Such is life. So I'm just going to start hitting with this. I wish I could find the good one. Well, oh, I'm a fool. Aha! It was hiding in plain sight. Oh, look at these hands. Look at these hands. You get filthy doing this. So next step is to get filthy doing this. I'm just going to do my best not to cut myself, feel the bevel or whatever, and then just go nuts. And it should get pretty shiny, which is neat. And this is a piece of plywood, as you can see, that I've just glued a piece of leather onto, and then put some of that green jeweler's polishing compound, I believe. It comes in a ridiculously huge bar that you will never, ever, in the course of your life, end up using. Unless maybe you do hand tool woodworking for a living. So if you're one of the 5 people on the earth that are making a living doing that, then sure. Yeah. You might use up that big ass stick. But yo, that looks pretty good. That looks pretty shiny. You can already see the edge doesn't feel great. In my experience, edges should feel nicer than that, but I'm going to clean up the backside. It's better than it was before. And I use this chisel to scrape up glue. So, not exactly fine woodworking. But it's kind of fun. It's enjoyable. And I can still feel. I mean, so kids at home, don't run your fingertip along a sharpened chisel blade. But you can see a chip right there. See a chip? I think there's one there. And maybe a couple more somewhere in here. Which is a note to self. Don't use your chisels to open paint cans. Turns out, it'll beat the edge up. And maybe that's a function also of this being cheap steel or whatever, of bending real easy. But if I'd used an expensive chisel with hard steel, fancy chisel, instead of it nicking, it would have perhaps, I don't know, like broken a chunk off and gone into my eye, sent me to the ER. So I suppose the edge nicking is a more desirable outcome. But who the fuck knows? I don't know. And that looks pretty shiny, but you can definitely see on the wings or what on the edges there, the sort of unpolished parts. But the edge looks pretty good. Feels okay, except for those nicks. And the ultimate test, I call it the junk mail test. Get whatever bullshit magazine has been delivered to your residence. And, oh, this is going to be bad. Oh, no. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not going to win any awards. It's sort of taking a little bit to start. But once it's in there, it goes until it hits a nick, I think, in the edge. But, you know, chops it up. I'm not making sashimi over here. I'm not perfection. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've had chisels much sharper than this. This chisel I've had much sharper than this, but I don't want to put in the work. Look. Anyways, that's how to sharpen a shit chisel and make your hands look like this. And didn't even cut myself, which is a plus. A lot of times, the first indication that you've cut yourself, or at least that I've cut myself, is just that there's blood on the stone, which is fantastic. Always. Anyways, nice talking to you.